So just before I get started, I do want to just walk you through the general login process that you will be experiencing to access your course. If you haven't already received your welcome letter, you should be receiving one either today or tomorrow with information on how to access this main login page. And it's also going to have your UVM, it's going to tell you which credentials that you're going to be using. Luckily, UVM will be using their UVM credentials and their password. So username and password that you typically use to get into your intranet with UVM, that's what you'll be using to connect to your One Campus course. And from here, you will put in your credentials. You will not have this. This is just for me. And you will be seeing your Walden page. So this is your One Campus portal page, and this is where you're going to see not only your username and password, or sorry, your information about yourself, but you'll also be seeing the courses that you're currently registered for in your class. This is just a test case. So for me, I registered myself into one course from our Laureate Languages Online, but you will see your IDST 2050 C course from Walden University. That's your interdisciplinary studies course. And you'll have a button that says Go to Classroom. From there, you'll go to your class, and it'll take you directly to the Walden Blackboard. I didn't have a class, so I got an error message for that. But you'll also be registered to a Global Student Readiness Orientation, and from this orientation, you will have just some general information on how to participate in online courses. It's some really good resources for you. I'm going to try to get some access in here. Give me just 1 second. So you won't see this as students, but I'm seeing this because I don't have access to the course myself. We'll just use. Here we are. Okay, so from this page, you'll have the Global Student Readiness Orientation. You'll also have your Walden Classroom. And once you click to Go to Classroom, you'll have not that page. You'll have access to your Global Student Readiness Orientation, and unfortunately, this student is not activated. But while I pull that up, I'll go ahead and let Eric go ahead and walk you through the Walden Classroom.
Okay, so where I'm going to start off is introducing myself. My name is Eric Bliss, and I'm a coordinator in the Center for General Education at Walden University. And I coordinate basically 40 different faculty that run general education courses. I've also taught down at Unitec in Honduras, which is another Laureate university. So I've been on the network a little bit. To start with, when we enter our classroom, and let's see if I can pull up that page. Here we are. This is the page you're going to start off with when you enter the classroom. So the first thing you're going to notice is you've got a section for announcements that's right up at the top. The important thing to know about this is that the most recent announcements are always going to be at the top. And if you click on an announcement, and of course it will take you to the actual announcement area where you can read all of the announcements at once, just scrolling down. But again, the most recent ones are going to be at the top. So once you get through all those initial announcements and class begins, it'll be easy to keep up with just by reading the ones at the top. Off to the left-hand side of your course, you have what we call the left menu bar for our classroom. And you can see at the top, it lists the title of the classroom that I'm in, which is Humanities 3001, Law and Popular Culture. It also gives you the date for the term, which is August 29th to November 20th. Keep in mind that our terms are 12 weeks long, but your class is 6 weeks long. So all of our classes are 6 weeks long, but we have 2 classes in each term, so to speak. So your end date will not be November 20th. It will be 6 weeks after August 20th. If you want to get back to the beginning, if you ever get stuck in your classroom, at the very top left corner here, you can click on Course Home, and that will always take you back to this home page where you can see everything. The syllabus is where you can find more information about your course. It'll give you a description of the course and the outcomes you're trying to accomplish while you're working on things. It'll list any materials, if you have them, that you need for the course. It will also let you know about due dates and times. We use Mountain Time for turning everything in. But I have a feeling that Mountain Time relative to your time, if you just turn stuff in by midnight on the day it says, you're going to be well ahead of the game. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. And then after that, you know, the syllabus just lists other things and policies that relate to your course. And I strongly encourage you that when you've got the chance, just to go ahead and try and reread through some of this stuff later when you get a chance. We all have access to our courses, hopefully as of today. We always give students access a couple of days early so they can get in and get familiar with things. And definitely one of the things you want to do when you come into the classroom before class officially begins on Monday is to come in and just start clicking on links and getting a feel for where things are at. If you look below the syllabus, we have what's called the term calendar. A lot of times your assignments, actually every time your assignment is going to say it's due by a certain day. So for instance, your first discussion is often going to be due by day 3 of week 1. If you don't know what day 3 of week 1 is, then you can come to this handy calendar and it'll tell you week 1, and you can look across, see day 3. You'll see that that date is August 31st, 2016. I know that the U.S. is really strange. We list our month and then the day and then the year in the calendars and all the assignments and everything. And I know everyone else in the world actually lists the day first and then the month. So just be aware that that happens and don't let it confuse you. After the term calendar, you can come to the course information link. This is the next most important link in your classroom. And here is where you're going to have all of the grading rubrics for your classes, for your class assignments. A grading rubric, the word rubric is probably new to you.
Buen día, habla la maestra Alejandrina Lastra. Buenas tardes. Hoy hablaba por esto.
But a grading rubric is actually evaluation criteria for your assignments. It's basically a table that the instructor uses to grade your assignment. So before you start any assignment, it's always good to download these evaluation criteria for the assignment so you can see all the different things that you need to do to maximize your points for the assignment. After the course information link, where you're going to find those grading rubrics, you will find the class cafe. And this is an introduction area where you can get to know your classmates, and you can also correspond with each other or talk to each other during the term, while the class is ongoing. You come here all the way through the class. But initially, it's used for everyone to post an introduction of themselves. So you can see here that the instructor for this particular class has already posted an introduction where she's welcoming the class to her classroom. And you can see she's posted a picture and talked a little bit about herself. And that's what everyone else should do. So when you come to the class cafe area, all you have to do is click on reply to this very first grayed out question area. And if I click reply, you'll see that you get a nice little box that comes up where you can type in and say who you are and where you're from and just anything else you want the class to know about yourself. So my name is Eric and I'm from Texas. And if I'm ready to post this after typing in this little box, then I can come down here to the submit bottom in the lower right corner. And if I hit submit, then this would post. I'm not going to do that because I'm not actually in this class and I don't want to interfere with their class cafe. But this is actually where all the action happens initially for your class. It's really great to tell everyone where you're from. And our classes are going to be full of people from all over the world. That is one of the coolest things about taking classes from Laureate is you actually have access to these classes where multiple Laureate schools and universities are able to participate. So you'll have students from India and you'll have students from Switzerland and Brazil and Peru and mean, everywhere. It's just so cool. So it's neat to see where everybody's from. So definitely include that if you would, and just get to know one another, because this is another place you can come to, not just to chat, but let's say you wanted to form a study group or something like that. You could come here and you could look at the students' introductions and find some people with like-minded interests, and maybe you put together a study group where all of you are scuba divers and want to work on class together, or what have you. It's a really useful area. Below the class cafe is the contact the instructor link. And when I click on this, it brings up another discussion thread. So I can click on that thread, contact the instructor, and you'll see, again, the instructor has posted a picture of herself. And she's also posted some useful information so that students can contact her if they have a problem. She's got her phone number here, her email address, et cetera, et cetera. I know a lot of you aren't going to have an easy time calling the US. That's kind of expensive. But you can always email your professor and ask them to use something like WhatsApp or Viber or Skype, or I guess we're using Zoom right now. I mean, there are any number of things that you can use to talk to your instructor. So just shoot her an email and say, hey, I'd like to use this. Can you get on that? And the instructor will say, sure. Or the instructor will say, I don't know what that is, but I'll download it and we can use it anyway. So there are all sorts of ways you can contact your instructor. I would take the time to write down your instructor's email address right at the start of class and put it on a piece of paper somewhere, maybe a Post-it note that you could take to your computer. Because if you have your internet go down or something, you obviously can't access the classroom to let the instructor know using email from the classroom. But if you already have their email address written to the side, you could probably pop up on your smartphone or someone else's computer, and you could easily email the instructor that way. After contact the instructor, we've got a help and support link. And this is identical to the help and support link that is actually on your One Campus page now. So if you need help or support, there should be every school that's participating listed here. I know about half of the schools participating are not listed here yet, but we're trying to get them on as soon as possible. They should be up there by the time day one of your class begins. So just be aware of it. We're working on that for a lot of the schools right now. But if you were to open up just one of these to see what's going on, let's say I open up Leon there at the top, you can see that they've got a local phone number, a email address for contacting, advising. They've got the student support team email address. This is another thing I'd write down in addition to your instructor's email address, because this is for 24-hour support. So no matter what time it is, no matter where you're at, someone is there to answer your message. So this is a really good email to keep track of. And if you've forgotten your login or password or anything, there's some other help desk here too. And all of these are individual to each school, because of course each school sets up students' email address themselves. So you do want to use the information for your school. The only thing that's universal is this student support team, this email address, onecampussupport@laureate.net. That's universal for everybody within the Laureate network. So if you have a technical problem, that's the email you want to hit. Going back to our classroom. The last link that's worth noting on the left menu bar before we get into the classroom itself is the link for doc sharing. Right now, in this class, there's nothing posted in doc sharing. You can see there's a link for class doc sharing. If I click on that, I already knew that there was going to be nothing here because I've used this classroom before to do this presentation. But this is where if an instructor wanted to share some files with you, this is where they would leave them. So it's kind of like a download area. So if the instructor sends an email or posts an announcement and says, hey, I've posted a helpful template for your assignment and it's in doc sharing, this is what they mean when they say it's in doc sharing. It's a document sharing area. And so this is where you can find useful information. I already found out that the Sociology 4080 class, the textbooks went out late. So you may not have your textbook to start class for weeks 1 and 2. And so I know right now we're working on scanning the first few chapters of that textbook, and we're going to pass them out to all the instructors, and the instructors are going to upload those to doc sharing. So this is a perfect case of where something like doc sharing would be used. So you happen to be taking Soci 4080, then know that you're going to have the first 2 weeks of your readings actually uploaded in PDF format in doc sharing. That's where you're going to find it. And your instructors will post an announcement to that effect, and they will also email you about it. So everyone will be in the loop. The meat of your classroom is down where we have these week links. So you'll notice you have week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6. This is because all of our classes are 6 weeks long. They're also all out of 1,000 points. When you click into a week, you're going to see at least 3 folders. There's going to be a folder for resources, a folder for discussion, and a folder for assignment. The resources folder is going to list all of your required readings. So in this course's case, they don't have a textbook, but if they did, it might actually list the textbook here and what chapters you're supposed to read. For this course, since they don't use a textbook, there's actually a lot of outside reading where they direct you to different websites to do reading for the week. So in week 1, it looks like they've got to read an article that's at the New York Times website, and they've got another article that they would read on cultural politics at a cultural politics website, et cetera, et cetera. There are lots of things here. You'll also see that this is another place sometimes that you can download stuff for your classes. And here you can see 2 documents that are available for download that relate to week 1. The first one being a final project summary, and the second one being a final project worksheet. And these are set up here so that you can get a head start looking at that final project, because I think it's pretty big, and so they want you to get an early start just looking at what's required. There's even some media posted here. There's a YouTube link where they're going to have to go watch a YouTube video. And all of this stuff is going to be used for completing the week 1 discussion and the week 1 paper that's due for this class in week 1. At the very bottom of your resources folder, they're always going to have optional resources. And optional resources, these are not required for you to read, but they give additional information about the field and about the subject that you're talking about that week. If I go back to week 1 and pop into another folder, we can look into the discussion folder. And when I click on the discussion folder, you can see here, it gives instructions that are going to be needed for completing this week's discussion. And when I'm ready to post, I click on post to the discussion, and you'll see this link with the number of posts that have been read or unread and the total number of posts made. So if I click on that link, that thread, it will again show me the instructions. It tells the class that by day 4, they have to post a 250-word response in which they address all of these questions. And so when you're ready to do this, all you have to do is come to the bottom of the discussion instructions and click on reply. It helps to give your reply something handy like your name, Eric Bliss's response to the main post for week 1. And then I can type up my response and go ahead, and when I'm ready, I can just hit submit, and that will be posted to the discussion forum. I will tell you this, it's a best practice to go ahead and type up your discussion responses in a Word document and then copy and paste them over. I say this because sometimes when you hit submit to post, if your internet connection happens to have gone down while you're working on your assignment and you hit submit, you're going to lose everything that you wrote in this box. And it's so frustrating to have to redo an assignment that you've already done because of technology. So one of the best things you can do is save your work to a Word document. And when you're ready to post it to discussion, just copy and paste what you've written in the Word document into this box. And I will say that sometimes Blackboard, which is our classroom, it has troubles with accepting copy and paste if you just do a right click. Like if I do right click here, I can have a copy and paste. Let's say I wanted to copy my title into the post. So I could right click copy, and then I could come down here and I could right click and hit paste, and oh, look, it's not going to let me do it that way. Instead, it tells me I have to use the commands Control-C to copy and Control-V to paste. So now if I highlight this and I type Control-C, I hold down the Control button on my keyboard and the C button at the same time. And now I go to the box and I do Control-V, boom, you can see it pasted everything at once. So when you save everything to your Word document and you're ready to go, Control-Copy after you highlight it all, Control-C, and then when you come to discussion, just Control-V, and you're good to go. Of course, I'm not going to post this because this is not my classroom and I'm not a student. Finally, the last thing we're going to look at is the tools area. In the tools area, this is where you're going to find a couple of helpful things. First and foremost, this is where you can check your grades. So if you click on My Grades, and right now, of course, I have no grades, but this is where you would see your grades for each assignment. If you click on the different links for My Grades, you're going to find that's also where you can review feedback for the score that you receive. So very important to know that. If I go back to this tools area, you can also send emails to the class from this page. So by clicking on Send Email, I could send an email to everybody, which would be not only students, but your instructor and even people that are looking in on the classroom, like auditors and such, like myself. So generally, we never use all users. But you might want to send something to all student users, which is really useful because it's only going to email the student. Or maybe you just want to email your instructor, so you might send an email to all instructor users. Or you might want to email just one person, in which case you're going to select users. And I'm going to go ahead and select on that. And you'll see here to the left, I have all the people enrolled in this classroom. And if I wanted to send an email to just one person, I would highlight their name. And I would use the right arrow to move their name over to this area. And this shows the people I've selected for the email. And I could select one person or two or three, just however I wanted to do that. If I made a mistake and say I transferred someone over there I don't want to email, then I could highlight just that person, use the left arrow to send them back so that they're not on my list. And then you give your email a title, and then you could type in your email. And when you're all ready to send, you hit submit, and that will send an email to whomever you've selected. And going back to the tools area, those are the two most important things that you're going to see here. There's a link for announcements, but again, you can get to that by clicking on Course Home. There's a link to actually look at all the discussion boards at once, and you can see posts at different ones. But again, you can get to each of these discussion boards by clicking directly on week one and then selecting the discussion folder. So it's just another way to get to the discussion boards. There's nothing special or fancy. So wrapping up everything that we need to know for our classroom, it's really important that you understand that you should have access today. So go ahead and go into your classroom and start clicking on links and getting a feel. It'd be really helpful to start posting to the class cafe now. Your instructor may not show up till day one, but I'm sure lots of other students are going to be in there, so it's a great chance to start getting to know your class. And know that for the week one participation requirement, you have to complete the week one activities or you will be dropped from the class. Those activities for week one have to be done during week one. So do not start early on the week one activities. You can start early with posting to the class cafe. You can contact your instructor early. You can look around everywhere early, but don't complete a week one assignment until week one actually begins. Likewise, make sure you complete the week one assignments before week one ends. Otherwise, you will be dropped from the class. This is a really, really important thing to know. Know that your course is out of 1,000 points. So as you're going through the course, you're going to see your points slowly add up as they approach 1,000 points. And that is about all I can think of right offhand. Are there any questions?
Thanks, Eric. Can you?
Let me give you back the screen.
Thank you. Yep, I just want to walk the students really quick through the student orientation. So from your welcome page, sorry, I just did this real quick while you were talking. I registered myself for the Student Readiness Orientation course. So as a UVM student, this is what you'll be seeing. This will be your home page. Your courses will be listed here. I only have the Student Readiness Orientation, but as I mentioned before, you will have your Walden course listed there as well. You're going to click on Ir a clase. And this is the Blackboard that you will be seeing. Your course will be listed in this section that says My Courses. Click on the Student Readiness Orientation. And this Student Readiness Orientation is really designed for international students. It's about 30 minutes, but it's going to be very helpful with tips and tricks on how to get you started. The first module is just a little bit about the class itself. Module 2 is going to focus in on, like I mentioned, those tips and tricks video for you to watch. It's also going to just give you some little insiders. Section 3 has writing tips and tricks for you, which I strongly recommend for you to do this either today or sometime over the weekend before your first day of class. It gives give you some just information about proofreading, literacy information, academic writing, paraphrasing. Like as Eric mentioned, in the US we use APA writing style, so this is a good way to kind of introduce you to that writing style. And section 4 is technical support. One campus support team is going to be your go-to if you have logging issues, if you have trouble uploading your homework, if you have any issues within your platform, your one campus support team is going to be your main point of contact. So like I said, 30 minutes between now and Sunday. Please take some time to complete this. It's going to save you a lot of time in the long run. And finally, some useful tips and tricks. Print out your important documents or save them to your computer so you have them easily accessible. I recommend printing out your syllabus, your course schedule, your term calendar, your professor's email address. Remember, day 1 is Monday, day 3 is usually on a Wednesday, day 7 is on Sunday. So just make sure that you pay attention to those time frames of when your assignments are due. The nice thing about online classes is you don't have to log in at a specific time to participate, but you do have to meet the deadline set by your professor to participate in discussion questions or also to turn in assignments. As Eric mentioned, luckily, the time zone that all assignments are due is in Mountain Standard Time. So if you submit your assignments or post your discussions by midnight your time, no matter where you are in Mexico, you are guaranteed to be at least 1 hour ahead of that time frame, if not at the same time. Your online learning tools, like I mentioned, make sure you explore these before you actually get into your class. You have access as of today, Thursday, August 25th, and your first day of class is on Monday. If you have any questions within your Walden classroom, your professor's there to help you. Make sure that you have open communication with them. For all other technical support, our one campus support team is there to help you in any way possible. We do have, though, support in Spanish at onecampusoporte@laureate.net, and we also have in English at onecampussupport@laureate.net. So now we'll open the floor for any questions, comments. So Eric, this is a good question I see here. They would like to know, when is the first activity? And Eric says it will vary by course, but as you mentioned, first participation assignment is day 1 on Monday, where they participate in just a brief introduction, correct? And Eric, if you can answer to everybody verbally, that would be great.
Okay. Sorry about that. I'm sitting here typing, and it's a lot easier to speak. I forgot I could do that. It's going to vary by course. For instance, the humanities course that we were just in, I saw that for their discussion, the first discussion main post response was due by day 4, which would be Thursday. But in a lot of classes, usually the discussion is due by day 3, which would be a Wednesday. Sometimes there might be, something due as early as Tuesday if there's a spark required for the course, which is usually like a post that doesn't require any reading, where they just want to collect your opinions on something. Basically, what you'll want to do is either from the syllabus or by clicking on week 1 and going to the discussion folder and the assignment folder, read the instructions and look for when the due dates are. But it's usually going to be day 3 or day 4.
Great, thanks, Eric.
Puedo hablar en español, pero mi español no está muy bien. Lo siento.
Okay, and this is a good question that came through. It was the minimum passing grade. 60 is passing at Walden in general, though many departments require 70, and some people on scholarship and such may require an 80, which we don't have that issue for this group, but know that 60, 70 is passing at Walden. Sí, todas las actividades serán en inglés.
Es la verdad. Qué lástima.
¿Alguna otra pregunta? Eric, do you know if we can open the page on the Walden page on cell phones?
Yeah, you know, that's a great question. There, I believe there is an app, but the app doesn't really do anything. It's just more of a way of accessing the internet like through an app. So it's pointless to even download an app for this. But if you use your internet browser on your smartphone, then you can view the classroom. You can kind of click around. Some things will work, like you might be able to post a discussion, you might not. It depends on what browser you're using on your phone. For instance, you can download Google, or you can download Mozilla Firefox, or you can use your phone's standard browser, and some of those might work better than others. Some things might work, some things might not. So it's hit or miss. I would never recommend taking a quiz using your smartphone.
So there's a lot of questions about the platform. You will be receiving the link to access your classroom through your welcome email. So if you haven't received it by now, you will be receiving it within 24 hours, 24 to 48 hours.
And you will access the One Campus platform first, and from there, that's how you get to the Walden platform.
Yep, exactly. So like I mentioned, you will get to the Walden. Let's see. Nope. So you will first see your Walden page. Let me see. So you first will access your One Campus page. And this is what you will see. And to access your classroom, you'll have access directly from here. So you'll go to Ir a Clase, and it'll take you, in this case, to your student readiness orientation, but also it'll take you to the Walden platform. Nope, the students don't have to connect at a certain hour. You just have to participate by the times that are set by your professor. Entonces, si tienes tiempo en las mañanas y quieres participar una hora dentro de la clase, en la mañana puedes participar a esa hora, pero si tienen una tarea que tienen que entregar para medianoche el domingo, tienen que entregar esa tarea lo más tarde medianoche. That is a very good question. And Humberto or Felix, maybe you can help with this question. We have a question. Will the Walden coordinator, Emerson, help the students on campus? We can look into that, and I will get back to you. Who is writing the question? Who is 305607? Perfecto, gracias, Cintia. Yo verifico y te envío esa información. ¿Otras preguntas? In other courses, sometimes the last day is on Saturday. Will it be the same here?
The last day of our week is always going to be Sunday, which is day 7. That will never change. However, some assignments may be due before day 7. They might be due day 5, day 4, day 3. So you have to read the instructions to make sure that you're getting things done by the due date.
Good question. Are there any other questions from the group? ¿Alguna otra pregunta? Okay, some students do not have a UVM mail. We have received the email list from that you use to access your intranet. If you do not have access to your internet, I do recommend contacting your local UVM help desk. And Eric, a question about the classroom. When do they comment? So when are discussions typically due?
For a typical discussion, you would post your main response to the questions by day 3, and then you would post responses to classmates, usually at least 2 of those, by day 5. And then you would continue to respond to anything that other students are posting through day 7. But that's just typical. It can change depending on the course. So it'll be stated in the instructions.
Y por eso les comenté, deben de imprimir no solamente el sílabo, pero también imprimen los calendarios que tienen dentro de su clase para que vean exactamente cuándo tienen que participar en discusiones, para cuándo tengan que entregar las diferentes tareas que tienen semana por semana, y así pueden ir organizándose desde el lunes para participar con tiempo en discusiones, tareas o cualquier otro evento que tengan dentro de su clase. Okay, we'll stay on for about 5 more minutes to answer any last-minute questions. Si prefieren preguntar sus preguntas en español, adelante. También si necesitan que aclare algo que acaba de mencionar el profesor, por favor avísenme y lo podemos traducir al español. No, para el primer ingreso de la página de One Campus no se tiene que registrar, ya están registrados dentro de su curso. Entonces, si ya se matricularon al curso, ya tenemos toda su información en el sistema. Entonces, solo van a tener que ingresar usando sus credenciales de la UVM. Va a ser la misma que usan para ingresar al intranet de la UVM, la contraseña. Y sí, los cursos duran 6 semanas, empiezan el lunes y corren hasta el día 9 de octubre. La pregunta de San Rafael, la contraseña es la que se ocupa en el gradebook.
Um,
No,
professors. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
sorry. No, el gradebook van a tener acceso a todas las notas dentro de su curso de Walden, nada más teniendo acceso a ese curso. La contraseña para accesar a One Campus, típicamente cuando entras a tu plataforma de la UVM, vas a estar usando un correo electrónico específico y la contraseña que designaste. Van a usar ese mismo proceso para iniciar a la plataforma de One Campus. Y Pilar avisa que es la contraseña que utilizan para el Wi-Fi de servicios de la UVM. Gracias, Pilar. Deben de haber recibido una carta de bienvenida. Por favor, chequen su folder de spam. Va a venir de nuestro grupo de soporte. El correo va a ser de noreply@laureate.net. Ya deben de tener ese correo electrónico en su inbox. Si todavía no tienen esa información, por favor, pónganse en contacto con nuestro equipo de One Campus y aquí les envío otra vez el correo electrónico.
No.
Sí, si no han recibido su carta de bienvenida, por favor envíen un correo electrónico con su nombre completo, por favor, y a onecampussoporte@laureate.net. Y también pónganse en contacto al líder zonal online para actualizar el correo electrónico. Entonces, 2 pasos. Van a comunicarse con el líder zonal online y también van a ponerse en contacto con onecampussoporte@laureate.net. ¿Alguna otra pregunta? Ok, creo que eso ya termina esta presentación. Muchísimas gracias a todos por participar. Estamos muy emocionados de que estén participando con One Campus, también con las clases de Walden University. Una duda. La pregunta es, ¿ya intentaron entrar a One Campus con los datos de la Wi-Fi y no pueden accesar? Entre el link y me pide usuario y contraseña. Ok. Sí, las credenciales. Déjenme revisar. Para preguntas de iniciar a One Campus, pueden llamar a asistente Lince o ve a tu sede a preguntar para aclarar tus dudas. Gracias, Alejandra. Si tienen dudas sobre el usuario y la contraseña que deben usar, por favor pónganse en contacto con ¿qué tenía aquí? Con asistencia Lince. ¿Alguna otra duda? Perfecto, muchísimas gracias a todos. Oh, tenemos una más. No, no more questions. Perfecto, entonces muchísimas gracias a todos. Bienvenidos a One Campus, bienvenidos a Walden University. Estamos muy emocionados para tenerlos como alumnos y participando en esta actividad. Buena suerte en su curso. Thank you, everyone. Good luck in your classes. Eric, thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.